I was able to call them in my role as the strategic sector leader on policy issues on national security. And I made it clear that they must find a way of working about it. The input of the Inspector General and his deputies is critical, and so is the legal authorization and approval by the Commission. I am glad the public exchanges that were taking place have abated. I am glad that increasingly I've been informed that commission meetings have taken place in the presence of the Inspector General and his deputies, which was a problem that time. In fact, I made it clear to both the commission and the IG that the conduct that the country was witnessing between those two senior agencies of our national security were impeachable conducts. And either of them could be subjected to and violation of the Constitution. I am very happy that that noise is not there, and I want to commend National Police Service Commission and the Inspector General for finding tension in terms of constitutional legitimacy and the delineation of functions and powers between the Commission and the Office of the Inspector General. Whatever differences that were playing out are artificial and they are unwarranted. I think going forward, and that is now that this is the committee that is helping the country to look at how we are implementing our constitution. Going forward, every public official, every organ of government must realize that the silver bullet in this 2010 constitution is that no one organ, no one agency, no one state official has untrammeled power. The checks and balances, you must live with others. Nobody has powers to do everything. But on the other hand, nobody has no powers to do anything. And that is the magic in this constitution. So the input, for example, of the IG in recruitment, the recommendations of the IG and the service commanders in transfers, in promotions is critical because they are the people who can vouch for the operational competencies of armed officers. But on the other hand, the legal oversight and authority of the commission is mandatory, and therefore an attempt by the commanders of the National Police Service to perform functions outside the law is also something that is not countenanced by the Constitution. I have been also asked to comment on the role of the Office of the Cabinet Secretary responsible for interior or internal security. And first, Article 245, the ones that speaks about the Inspector General. Paragraph 4 provides that the IG is independent, but the Cabinet Secretary may lawfully give direct matters. The underlying policy matters. And that paragraph qualifies that in that instance, the directive shall be in writing. Now, our understanding of this provision is that even on matters which are assigned to either the commission or the office of the IG, namely recruitment, transfer, promotion, so long as there are policy issues around recruitment, transfer, promotions, the cabinet secretary has a role to give strategic policy decision, even on those matters that are allocated to either the commission or the IG. In other words, it is our view that the cabinet secretary is the sector driver for policy on recruitment, transfer, promotion, but generally, in fact, our understanding is based on the same article that I've quoted. You will find, if you look at it carefully, that it says that the same paragraph, it says, no person may give the Inspector General of Police any directives on the transfer, promotion, etc., of any particular officer, on investigations of any particular person. So there is the use of the singular there. In other words, the cabinet secretary cannot direct the Inspector General transfer this officer, promote officer Y, cannot give directives. But just yesterday, we have given directives that all officers who have served for 3 years across the country must move. That is a policy decision. It is not aimed at directing the IG to transfer a particular officer. It's a policy. 3 years, you must move. And there are policy reasons why that policy guideline has been given across the board. So it's about the time served. It's not about Officer X, Officer Y, because that would be unconstitutional. So in our humble view, Chair and members, there is a thin line between policy and operational issues, and we try as much as possible not to interfere with the day-to-day running of the agencies and restrict ourselves to the policy oversights of all the institutions, not just of the National Police Service, but also of all the institutions within Kenya's internal security, because there are other organs of our internal security. Allow me also to add, within the National Police Service Act, there are further functions. Now, beyond Article 245 of the Constitution, there is the Article 126 of the National Police Service Act, which says the Cabinet Secretary shall provide policy guidelines to the service, which is an elaboration of what the Constitution was saying. Provide policy guidelines to the service. And policy is policy. It can be policy on anything. So long as it's touching on internal security, that's a very broad provision. Monitoring and evaluation of this, facilitating the involvement of the public in the activities of the service, facilitating the functioning. Allow me to say that for the Inspector General, his functions are captured beyond the broad powers in Article 245 of the Constitution. The functions of the Inspector General of Police are captured in Section 10 of the National Police Service Act, which says, I think it's cap one, its powers and functions include implementing, coordinates all police operations, recommend to the Commission and county policing authorities the distribution and deployment of officers. Now, what I was talking about, the input of the IG in recruitment, promotions, transfers, has been captured in this section 10 because it says recommend to the commission. Recommend to the commission the distribution and deployment as above the rank of superintendent. In my view, because this will be the IG to make a decision, of course, with the concurrence of the commission when there is a delegated instrument, an instrument of delegation. Above the rank from superintendent and above, the recommendation is done to thereof by the commission. So the functions are there: determine the distribution and deployment of officers in the service in the rank of superintendent and below, determine the distribution and deployment of officers of the service in the rank of superintendent and below, organize the service at national level into various formations, units, and components, wide-ranging powers, very sweeping powers, and for good reasons, so that you can hold the IG accountable for the operational efficiency or lack thereof of his troops. And I think as Kenyans, we must be comfortable that all these offices are created with a reason. One, you will see the IG has a lot of powers. The IG cannot be directed by anybody except it's a policy issue. But in return, the IG's functions are again circumscribed by his deference to the commission when it comes to promotions, recruitment, as provided for. So the list is there in my written statement of the various powers and functions of the Inspector General of Police, Section 10 of the National Police Service Commission, National Police Service Act. Therefore, allow me as I end, Chair, to say, first and foremost, I have a good working relationship with the National Police Service Commission and the Inspector General of Police. So far, I have not experienced any challenges working with either. But in the past, there was those tensions, legal tensions between the commission and the IG's office. We have gone out of our way to make sure that we arbitrate and assist the two offices to work together so that the overall objective of organizing our security sector is achieved, so that you don't have indiscipline and conduct unbecoming, because this is a sector which is so sensitive. It is so sensitive that any misconduct could have grave consequences to the security of the country. Outside the KDF, all the other weapons that are used lawfully and for the protection of the country are in the hands of the National Police Service. So we have, I'm happy that there has been a lot of improvement, and these are institutional. My advice, even to myself, is that this constitution has made it possible n- has made it possible or made it, that's why you see even presidential decisions, unlike before, are subjected to the approval or checkmating by other institutions, either parliament or the judiciary. And therefore, the tension of our country and the law, in my view, has not created any ambiguities. The commission has a very, very strong and extensive mandate, which must be respected by the IG, and the input of the IG as the professional head of the National Police Service must also count for something and must matter. In fact, for something and must matter. In fact, I dare say, if the commission and the National Police Service. It is our view, and we stand to be persuaded differently. It is our view, and we stand to be persuaded differently, that the reason why goes on to say that after giving so much power on those organs, among the principles that will guide national security organs